Alfonso, as you read the book and the screenplay came to you, what was it about the story that sort of leapt off for you and that gave you a visual sense?
A few different things. Originally, it was the language. I loved the way the kids were speaking, and it reminded me of high school, and that's a 20-year gap between us. But it's something was true about this. It was honest. And then when it got to the Mr. McCarthy scene, where people's lives continue to unfold, that you just have to pay attention, that really struck a chord, because I lost my dad about a year before I read the screenplay, so deep denial, and wasn't really handling it well. But when I saw the script, I realized I really identified with Greg and his journey, because you really do feel like a child, no matter when that happens. So I saw that as a way to give something so abstract a shape, and also celebrate movies and give thanks to all my mentors and heroes.
Thomas, one of the things I love about the film is that Greg is not a show off. He's a very recessive kind of character. He's very wry and mischievous and funny, but in a very dry way. He doesn't let it fly out there. Doesn't let his freak flag fly in a way. Was that a key for you for the film?
Yeah, well, he doesn't want to impose on anyone. He wants to, because he's afraid of the reaction that he might get. God forbid it would be less than positive. So, he reminded me of kind of a lot of the person that I was in high school, and the way that I might have dealt with a situation like this. These emotions are too sort of abstract to really understand at that age, and so, he uses his humor, and he just kind of pushes back all the darkness for as long as he can until, the scene where they're together in the room and she says she's stopping treatment, and it's just kind of, all comes out at once, and it's too much for him, and he kind of lashes out.
Olivia, there's obviously it could be a whole over of movies that feature girls dying of diseases, girls who we put up on pedestals for those reasons. What was the key for you to make your character a little different?
Just the fact that, she's everything but her cancer. She's not a victim. She's not a tragic character. And, cancer aside, she's a teenage girl that really likes herself. She's not written as riddled with any insecurities, or she's not self-hating. She's just very comfortable, quietly comfortable. Yeah.
Jesse, you mentioned just now outside that that one of the reasons the screenplay is sort of different for you than the book was you were able to kind of look at some of these characters in different ways as opposed to Greg's point of view, which the novel definitely was. Talk to us a little bit more about how you opened up the screenplay a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, the book is told in the first person, and it's told by this character that you guys just spent a lot of time with, so you can sort of imagine, its flaws in its storytelling, how especially, it's about him learning to pay attention, and he spends most of the book not being able to pay attention. He gives very partial glimpses, I think, of these other characters in his life. And in the movie is much more in the third person, so to speak. We still hear his voiceover, but we're seeing him from without and seeing the other characters. And so we get a fuller glimpse of them. I think especially Rachel, which was also a character that Alfonso got me thinking about more and got me filling in her biography, her character more once Alfonso came on to the project and we continued developing the script.
Jeremy, the sort of everybody's got to do everything at some point bit that every independent film has seemed to kind of really reach its fruition in this movie. Everybody was kind of putting together pieces of the set at various points, and then the animations in the film, which are so terrific, they came about also because of necessity, right?
Yeah, I think that, the script was so authentic, and it was an independent film, and I think that Alfonso came to it with all these visual ideas that were ambitious, but were designed to be fresh for a high school movie, but also keep the authenticity. And sometimes those two things are at odds. When you go very stylized, you can kind of enter a world where you're through a filter. And I think there was this idea of this balance of how to achieve that, but the film was still very ambitious. It was a little tier 1 movie, and we literally the animated scene at the beginning where the best of times, worst of times that Jesse had written, we were like, Alfonso, we're not going to be able to shoot this. We only got 24 days, and we sort of struggled with it, and we were going to try and fit it in.
Trying to shoot it.
And then at the end, we're like, well, if we don't get to shoot it, maybe we'll animate it. We've been working with these amazing young animators that have been helping with making all the the imagination things and helping with the film at the end. and literally everybody did everything on this film. I mean, we were, you know, carrying set pieces around, doing everything we could to get it done, and there was just a lot of love, and you know, it turned out we're happy, we're proud.
What sort of influences were going on with you, Alfonso, as you were putting the film together?
Well, there's a little John Hughes, I guess, because I remember identifying with Anthony Michael Hall in this Breakfast Club, which came out when I think I was 12. I was exactly the right age for that movie, and I hadn't really had a movie that spoke to me directly. And then that happened again with Mean Streets, and then that changed my life forever. But all the other tones, there's 2 posters in his bedroom, 400 Blows and Mean Streets, for a reason. You know? And the Archers logo is off on the side, and that's for a reason too. So those are the influences, or at least you know, they set the bar so high that that'll always be a journey. But yeah, but other than that, I mean, the real journey was trying to feel something while I was making the movie, and hopefully that would translate.
How about the casting process? Let's talk a little bit, Alfonso, about how you came to Olivia and Thomas and RJ, who's terrific. RJ.
Yeah, RJ. Well, the movie almost fell apart because we had no Earl 2 weeks before shooting or something like that, maybe 3. But Thomas and Olivia, I saw them early in the process, maybe about a year or 6 months before. The movie came together and then fell apart, came back together. And then Olivia was the first to be cast. I just loved her, the way she... she was. I love how funny she was, and how she handled all the dramatic scenes without being sentimental or melodramatic, and still very age appropriate. I liked everything about her, and then it was about finding the right chemistry, so it didn't become a love story. It was never going to go there. And then the third, and then that was Thomas, who came over. You know, by the end, he was auditioning with 30 pages of scenes just to make sure he was right. And then they had a beautiful chemistry, and now friendship. And then Earl came in at the very last minute, and it was his first movie, R.J. Kyler, and he just had such confidence, and the 3 of them, it just became that beautiful little triptych and that beautiful energy flow between them, and that was just right. That was great.
Jesse, what was the germ of the idea for the book? How did it come to you? What was the genesis of it?
Well, I just wanted to write a book that was publishable after writing 2 books that were emphatically not. And so I decided that I wanted to, for once, write something funny, but I knew that it couldn't be, you know, just fluff, just frivolous, so I knew it had to be about something that was not funny at all. And my grandfather was terminally sick at the time that I was preparing to write this book. And I was just thinking a lot about how the exchanges that you have, the interaction that you have with someone who may not be around for that much longer, is you always will recriminate yourself about it, that you didn't say the thing that you wish you had said, or you didn't do the thing that you wished you had done. And you know, I was watching my mom go through this, and I was too, to some extent. I mean, you know, I was pretty close with my grandfather. And so I knew if I could make something funny about that, that would either be a great accomplishment or I would just be a monster. And I don't know. It could go either way still.
I just want to also just touch on Olivia and Alfonso. You guys mapped out Rachel's progression as in a way, right? So emotionally and physically, you were always at the right like curve, right?
Yeah, we both did research. I had directed a pilot the year before that involved a lot of research in the Mattel wing, the pediatric wing at UCLA. So I got to know a lot of those nurses and those wings, like the Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh, that are designed by teenagers, and the doctors. And I met this wonderful doctor named Peter Shaw, who really we spent a lot of time with the script, and they treat the patients like teenagers, like young adults, not infants, and they have a say, they have a voice, and they have freedom, and we walked through the whole script, and we broke it down into the 5 cycles of chemo before, at some point over the course of the movie, she would legally turn 18, so she had the right to stop treatment. And so we would just map everything. We'd shoot out a sequence so we knew where we were in the cycle and where in the cycle we were.
Yeah, I went to the same ward and met a girl who had the same leukemia as Rachel in the movie, and spoke with her and her dad and her team of doctors, and that was just, it really informed my performance, because just watching her, and she was just so still, and she completely bald, just, and it's when you're bald as a woman, I don't know, you kind of look like a baby again, you kind of just void of any any distinguishing features, which I found was quite interesting. Really helped with Rachel.
Alfonso, let's wrap up with you. What's the thing that surprised you the most about this movie while you were making it?
While I was making it, I think I was forced to do the DVD commentary way too early, a couple weeks ago, and I realized how different I was at the beginning of the movie and who I was at the end by the hospital scene. By the time of the hospital scene, I allowed myself, I had faith in the system again. I was enjoying myself. I had so much support. Everyone was behind my version of the film, and was only, I remember the first time when I said I think the ending should be an abstract film, I was so nervous. I barely knew Jeremy, and I thought I was going to get fired immediately, and he just embraced it and started sending me links to other abstract, Fishinger and all. And I just knew then I was surrounded by people who were all making the same movie, and this is what it should feel like, and this is what it used to feel like when I was a kid, and why not? And that was and humbling when it doesn't work, and then we finished the movie a couple days before Sundance, and the fact that we never tested it really other than two small friends and family, to feel that it just seemed to catch in front of all of us, and to go from 30 people in October to 1,400 late January was shocking, but I think people felt the love that went into it. Maybe it's something tangible there.
Ladies and gentlemen, me and Earl and the Dying Girl.
Thank you.
Thanks.